What's going on, Tamers? It's me, Guy, still, I guess at this point, impatiently waiting for the JP ban list to get updated. It's been about 2 weeks and still nothing for Bandai, so while I was waiting, I figured it'd be a good idea to put out another Tamer Tips video to solve a pretty common problem in Digimon TCG. In a lot of cases, it's easy to get those 5 security swings, but sometimes you find yourself really struggling to get that last hit to close out the game. So today I want to talk about 5 cards that you can use to close out games more quickly and to get that last hit that you need to win. So the first card we're going to talk about here is actually less of a single card and more of a classification of cards. So you'll notice a lot of players taking in a single copy of a hybrid in their decks in order to get that final swing to close out games. This is because right now a lot of the security removal is focused on Digimon and not on Tamers at all. Right now you can pretty reliably put a Tamer down on the board and it'll typically stay there for most of the game unless it destroys itself through some effect. What this means is that once you've cleared out all of your opponent's security, you drop the hybrid over top of your Tamer, which you've safely had out for most of the game, and then you can get that last swing, no problem. So the pros here are pretty obvious. Basically every deck runs Tamers anyway, so while you've got the Tamers in there, just drop a hybrid of the same color in there so that you can draw it out during the game and then get that last hit. The cons, unfortunately, hybrids do cost a little bit of memory, so you have to have at least 2 to 3 memory at the end of the turn to make that final swing. But I think if you're trying to employ a strategy of getting that last swing in pretty much any deck, this is the way to go. We're going to talk about a couple of other ones, but those might be a little bit more restrictive based on the type of decks that you're running. So if you take nothing else from this video, then hybrid for that last swing is probably the way to go. So the second card on this list we're going to talk about is actually going to be BT8 Cameraman. This card is fantastic for decks that lend themselves to going wide traditionally. For example, some of the more traditional green decks, as well as the BT10 Digicross decks that are going to be coming out soon on the inside. Because these decks typically have level 4s out and they can just play Digimon all willy-nilly, then if at the end of the turn, once you've done all your swings, if you've got 2 level 4 Digimon out there, you can just take 2 of them, Joggers into a Cameraman, and get that final swing to close out. So a couple of pros and cons about this guy. First off, the Joggers Digivolution is free. So as long as you have 2 Digimon, whether they're rested or not, that are level 4 on the field, you can just Joggers into him. Additionally, his effect that allows him to put sources from the trash up under him allows you to potentially get rid of any blockers your opponent may have based on whatever the effects might be. You might be able to rest them or just destroy them outright. And then finally, again, this guy is super flexible. Being able to run him as a level 5 in virtually any deck because he becomes the color of all the cards in his sources, and he has the ability to buff himself, reduce the DP of your opponent's Digimon, and he's just a great level 5 to hop into before going into your level 6. In a lot of cases, it becomes a free level 5, and then you get your level 6/4 cost, and you can end your turn that way. The cons here, I think, are pretty obvious. It's no easy feat to keep 2 level 4 Digimon on the board nowadays, so yeah, being able to get 2 of those out at the same time, memory efficiently, I think is hard for a lot of decks outside of the ones that I mentioned before, but if your deck does lend itself to going wide, then he's a fantastic choice. So this next one goes out to all of the green connoisseurs out there watching, and that's going to be BT1's Mimi. So this Tamer is very special in that it is one of the few cards in the game that can move a Digimon from the raising area to the field. And that's super important for a couple of reasons. First off, she allows you to hatch new Digitama, which is a source of card draw outside of the fact that it's the final swing. This card allows you to draw more from the free Digivolution there to level 3. And then if you have a level 3 there, if you rest her, you can send that level 3 from the breeding area to the field to attack. Even if the Digimon was hatched that turn and you Digivolve to level 3 and you move it to the field, it can still attack. And because basically no effects in the game can touch the racing area, it's kind of like the holy sanctuary of the game. That means that as long as you keep something there, or as long as you have a Digitama, you always have a potential for 1 more swing with the Mimi Tamer. A couple more pros about this card is that the more Mimi Tamers you have, the more potential swings you have in a turn. So for example, if you have 3 Mimis on the board and you have a level 3 in raising, you can rest 1, send it out to the field, rest another, hatch another Digimon, Digivolve it to level 3, and then rest it again to promote that Digimon to the field and have it swing as well. So it's potentially 2 swings in a turn. Again, the more Mimis you have, the better. Of course, you're going to max out at 4, which guarantees you 2 swings, but sometimes if you already have the Digimon hatched, 3 is just enough to get the 2 swings as well. A couple of cons though, this typically does only work for green decks, so keep that in mind, and you also have to have a level 5 Digimon in play to actually activate the Mimi's effect. So again, in green decks, that's not too much of an issue because they can very quickly get 2 level 5 Digimon for very low memory in a single turn. But outside of that, I think you're going to be really limited. So you'll notice that as we go down this list, these cards are becoming more restrictive to the type of deck you play, and this next card is no exception. It's going to be the BT9 attack for the heavy mobile Digimon. So this strategy is wholly limited to really specific machine type decks, typically involving Machine Dramon or Chaos Dramon. If you haven't really taken a look at what this option card does, it allows you to discard a Machine or Cyborg type Digimon, and then you can give all of your Digimon with Machine or Cyborg type in their name with sources. That's really important. They have to have sources Rush, as well as Blitz. So how is this useful? Well, what it means is you can take a, for example, level 5 Andromon, discard it to the trash with this card's effect, and then you can play a 7-cost Machine Dramon using its effect to put 5 sources up under it and then reduce the play cost by 1 for each one. And then it immediately gains Rush and Blitz. That means that even though you're giving your opponent a ton of memory to work with, because it's the final swing for the game, it doesn't matter. So as long as you have these 3 cards in hand, the Machine Dramon, a card to discard for the cost, and then the option card itself, you're good to go to get that last swing for the game. And the final card on this list to help you get that last swing to clear your game is actually going to be the BT8 Armor Texture card. Again, really specifically focused for Armor Texture decks, and if you're unfamiliar with this card, basically it allows you to take a Armor Digimon card, toss it to the trash, and then Digivolve into a new Armor Digimon from your hand by paying its cost. That's important, you have to pay the cost, and then that Digimon becomes unsuspended. So it basically gives you another free swing if it's still your turn. The unfortunate part is that this card doesn't give that Digimon Blitz, so if you do happen to pay memory, the 2 or 3 memory that you're going to need to Digivolve, and it swings over to your opponent's turn, then that's kind of it. So you want to make sure that you have at least 2 or 3 memory, or whatever the armored Digivolve cost is for that Digimon before you play this card. And while I think that's a really important con, I think that it's really important to note as well that this card is just genuinely good. Even if it's checked in security, has a fantastic effect of allowing you to just play a level 3 Digimon from your hand or trash with freeness type. I'm looking at you, basically any of the thousands of Vmon that are currently in the game. With a security effect like that, and then the ability to get that final swing whenever you need it, it's basically useful anywhere you find it, whether it's in security or it's in your hand or you draw it during the game. And so that's going to be it for this episode of Tamer Tips. If you have any other questions about strategy, effects, or just general Q&A about the game, feel free to throw them down in the comments below. This video was actually inspired by a comment from one of my past videos, and so again, I'm always taking advice and questions from you guys in order to help you understand the game a little bit better. If you are new and you want to know more about the actual Tamers and hybrids themselves, feel free to take a look at the actual Q&A video that I did on those in a previous Tamer Tips video. And yeah, let me know your thoughts there as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope this video was useful for you, your deck building, as well as some of your games. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time. Take care, folks.